The Battle Pass is a godsend for many players. An insane amount of shell credits, upgrade materials, and pulls, and with the decision to spend a bit of cash, players can increase these rewards significantly, streamlining the progression of their account while also gaining access to another enticing reward, the Battle Pass or Golden Eternal series of weapons. These weapons at a first glance appear to be some of the best mid to high level 4-star options in the game. Paired with very attractive weapon main stats and powerful weapon effects on paper, the Battle Pass options, especially early on in the lifetime of Wuthering Waves, felt like great choices for players to invest in. Now, more than 3 months after the launch of the game, it's clear that the opposite is now taking place. Today we'll be discussing why this is the case, breaking down the overall value of the Battle Pass weapons, why it isn't as high as we had originally thought, and why the design of the overall weapons system within Wuthering Waves makes these weapons potentially a complete bait when it comes to your resources, depending on how you enjoy playing and pulling in this gacha game. As always, if you're enjoying this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. One of the biggest factors when it comes to weapon selection across your roster is its combination of main stats. With virtually all other 4-star weapons possessing main stats like attack, defense, or energy regeneration, they're oftentimes not the best option for characters focused on, well, dealing damage. The Battle Pass weapons offer something unique. Something that only 5-star weapons provide, a critical rate main stat. With investment in critical stats as one of the best ways to optimize a character's damage, these stats can be extremely valuable for a player's account. Unfortunately, not all of the Battle Pass weapons provide this benefit. Looming Gloss and Thunderbolt, the sword and pistol options, only provide an attack main stat. While their damage bonuses can appear significant, they're oftentimes extremely specific in their weapon effect as well, and synergize with very few characters on the roster. Unless you're looking to build only 2 characters in particular, this isn't the best investment, especially given that these weapons are time-gated. The other downside of these 2 weapons in particular, they're completely blown out of the water by the standard 5-star weapon alternatives. These are the very same weapons that players could have claimed for completely free at Union level 45, or for other acquisition methods, completely guaranteed on the standard weapon banner. With the number of standard pulls we've gotten thus far since the launch of Wuthering Waves, most, if not all players, have at least 2 standard 5-star weapons on their account. These weapons provide a massive amount of critical rate and far more universal weapon effects that makes these options more usable across every sword and pistol wielder on the roster. With these 2 standard weapons oftentimes the first ones selected by new players due to their universal effects, what this means is that for many players, there's almost no use at all for these 2 Battle Pass weapons, ever. Why invest in them when there are more easily accessible options that will perform better? The other Battle Pass weapons, on the other hand, have advantages based on similar reasoning. The standard Broadblade, Gauntlet, and Rectifier don't have the same amazing blend of main stats and universal weapon effects, which can make the Battle Pass weapon a better option across these wielders to balance out a stat profile. This story changes, however, if you pull any limited weapon across these weapon classes. Every limited weapon thus far, aside from Chang Li's, has been or will be one of these weapon types. With these limited weapon banners also completely guaranteed, there was and is a lot more incentive to pull on these weapons compared to other big gacha games. Once you pull one of these limited 5-star weapons, there's really no reason to ever use the Battle Pass option. With their combination of increased base stats and universal weapon effects, you'll get far better performance on the limited weapon compared to the Battle Pass weapon, at least at low synchronization levels on the Battle Pass weapon. Combine that with the fact that, well, copies of the Battle Pass weapon are literally time-gated, you'll have to spend months farming or just waiting for a Battle Pass weapon to get to the point where it's even comparable to a limited 5-star. That's a long time to wait to get satisfied with a character or weapon's performance. Other gacha games, due to restrictions in their gearing system, create a use case for these Battle Pass weapons simply due to the fact that you need a unique weapon for each character that cannot be shared in the most challenging endgame content. Wuthering Waves, well, doesn't have that issue. With every weapon shareable by simply swapping equipment sets across characters who have or haven't completed their clears in the Tower of Adversity, there's almost no circumstance at all where you'd need two weapons of the same type, unless you're running both of those wielders on the same team. Outside of some specific team comps, that almost never happens. And what this means is that when it comes to your resources and leveling, is that deciding to invest in these Battle Pass weapons, even the ones that give crit, can turn out to be a complete waste of resources depending on the limited 5-star weapons you've already pulled. Don't believe me? Just take a look at my beautiful Syntonization Rank 2 Level 70 Autumn Trace. I haven't touched this weapon a single time ever since I pulled Jin C's signature months ago. My Jian and my Jin C will always perform better with Age of Harvest. All of those credits, upgrade materials, and weapon experience materials have gone into a black hole, and I'll never get them back. And wow, that is not a great feeling, especially when you factor in that these weapons can only be purchased with real money. The ironic part about this problem is that it only exists because of the massive generosity Kuro has built into the design of Wuthering Waves. If you couldn't select standard 5-star weapons, you'd rely far more on the Battle Pass weapons to gear your characters, and two of them wouldn't be immediately outperformed by more easily accessible options. If the weapon banner wasn't guaranteed, the Battle Pass weapons would be a far more attractive option for reliable investments in critical stats. And if the weapons weren't shareable across the most challenging, time-gated endgame content, there would be a much greater need for multiple options and investments across your weapon classes to make your roster usable. All of these problems are, in a way, self-inflicted by the developers. But these are problems that only exist because bigger problems are getting solved. When you're revolutionizing the gacha genre and creating a far more player-friendly experience, you'll run into some complications early on. All of these benefits players are experiencing come at the cost of diminishing the value of the Battle Pass weapons. However, this is a trade that I and many players are willing to make. I wouldn't trade the guaranteed weapon banner for anything. And if that means I have to make some sacrifices when it comes to the Battle Pass, that's not a very big problem at all. Sometimes, when you solve for one problem or you solve for multiple problems, you create another. And knowing Kuro, this is something that they're likely going to fix in just a short amount of time. As always, if you enjoyed this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. Peace out.